What happens when two strong Nori 2 personalities collide on live television? Zoro 4 in a way that nobody saw coming. The 007 Kelly Clarkson show was supposed to be Zoro 8, another routine celebrity interview. The Zoro 11 kind where famous guests promote their Zoro 12 latest projects while sharing Zoro 4 2 heartwarming anecdotes. But when Meghan 16 Markle walked onto that soundstage, 18 carrying herself with the poise of Yase 20, someone who had weathered countless Zohai 22 media storms, neither she nor Kelly Yola 24 could have predicted how quickly things Zoro 6 would spiral out of control. Before we Yoine 29 dive into this incredible story, make 031 sure to subscribe and hit that 033 notification bell because stories like 035 this don't come around often. And drop a 037 comment below telling me what you think 039 really went down. Now let's get into OI 42, what actually happened. Behind those Zola 44 studio lights, the atmosphere in the Zoro 46 studio felt different from the moment Zoro 48 Meghan arrived. Kelly Clarkson, known for her 51 her warm and genuine interviewing style, Zoro 153 had prepared a Zoro 55 straightforward conversation about Zoro 57 Meghan's recent charitable endeavors and 059 her life in California. The show's producers had briefed Kelly 103 on the approved talking points, 105 emphasizing that this was meant to be a 107 positive, uplifting segment that would 110 showcase Meghan's humanitarian work. As 113 the cameras began rolling, Kelly flashed 115 her signature smile and launched into 117 her opening remarks. "I'm so excited to 120 have you here today," Kelly said, her 122 voice carrying that familiar Texas 124 warmth that had endeared her to 1,026 of viewers. "I've been following your 128 work with various charities, and I have 130 to say it's really inspiring to see 133 someone use their platform for such 135 meaningful causes." Meghan settled into 137 her chair, her posture perfectly 139 straight, every movement calculated, and 142 deliberate. "Thank you Kelly, it's 154 wonderful to be here. I've always 146 admired how authentic you are with your 148 audience, how you're not afraid to be 150 vulnerable and real." There was something 152 in Meghan's tone, a subtle edge that 155 Kelly picked up on immediately. Years of 157 interviewing had given Kelly an almost 159 supernatural ability to read between the 201 lines to sense when a guest was holding 204 something back or preparing to go off 206 script. "Well, I try to keep it real." 2 Kelly responded with a slight laugh. 2010 Speaking of keeping it real, I have to 2013 ask about something that's been on a lot 214 of people's minds. There's been so much 2017 speculation about your relationship with 2018 the media, and I'm curious about your 2020 perspective on how stories get told, 2023 especially when you're not the one 2024 telling them. The question hung in the 2026 air like a challenge. Meghan's 29 eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly, her 2032 media-trained smile never wavering, but 2034 Kelly caught the flash of something 2036 darker underneath. "That's such an 2038 into phrase it Kelly." 2040 Meghan replied, her voice taking on a 2042 tone that was simultaneously sweet and 2045 sharp. "Stories, as you put it, have a 2047 way of taking on a life of their own 2049 don't they? Especially when there are 2051 people who benefit from keeping certain 2053 narratives alive." Kelly felt the energy 2055 in the room shift. The studio audience 258 who had been murmuring appreciatively at 300 the beginning of the interview, fell 302 into an expectant silence. Even the 304 cameraman seemed to leanly 306 sensing that they were witnessing 377 something unexpected. "I think we all know how that feels." 311 Kelly said carefully, trying to steer 314 the conversation back to safer ground. 3016 The entertainment industry can be 317 brutal, and sometimes the stories that 320 get told about are always fair or 3022 accurate. "Exactly," Meghan said. But 3025 there was no agreement in her voice, through only the sound of someone preparing to 3T29 make point that'd been brewing for a 332 long time. "But here's what I find 334 fascinating Kelly. You've built your 336 career on being the relatable one, the 3D38 down-to-earth celebrity who understands 3T40 what regular people go through. But when 3T2 was the last time you actually faced 344 real consequences for speaking your 3D45 truth?" The question landed like a slap. 349 Kelly's smile faltered for just a 350 moment, but she recovered quickly, her 3F3 professional instincts kicking in. "I'm 3F5 not sure." 3F7 I understand what you mean by that. "Oh, 359 I think you," Meghan continued, her 402 voice growing more pointed with each 403 word. "You get to sit here in your 405 comfortable studio, asking pointed 4-susin questions about other people's struggles 409 with the media. But you've never had to 411 choose between your family's safety and 433 your public image, have you?" Kelly's jaw 416 tightened slightly. She had been in the 4Nadine entertainment business long enough to 4020 know when someone was trying to provoke 4scene22 her, but she had also built her 44 reputation on being genuine and honest 4026 sometimes to a fault. "Meghan, I respect 429 what you've been through, I really do. But I think you might be making some 4I33 assumptions about my life that aren't 435 entirely fair. Am I? Meghan shot back, 4I39, her composure beginning to crack in a 4I41 way that revealed the steel underneath. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks 41045 like you've had a pretty smooth ride. Your talk show, your 40-50 music career, all while being celebrated 452 for being authentic. Must be nice to 454 have that luxury. The studio had gone 457 completely silent now. Kelly could feel 459 the eyes of her crew, her audience, and 5001 millions of viewers watching this 504 conversation take a turn that nobody had 506 scripted or anticipated. Luxury Kelly 509 repeated her own voice beginning to 510 carry an edge. Meghan, I don't know what 5e13 kind of narrative you're trying to 5i2 create here, but suggesting that my 500 has been easy or that I haven't 518 faced my own challenges is not only 5i20 unfair, it's just plain wrong. Meghan 524 leaned forward slightly, her eyes locked 5e26 on Kelly's. I'm not trying to Kenny 5e29 narrative, Kelly, I'm simply pointing 5i31 that some of us have paid a mother 33 higher price for our honesty than 5e35 others. Kelly felt something snap inside 537 her at those words. The suggestion that 539 she hadn't earned her success, that she 542 hadn't faced real struggles struck at 5e44 the very core of who she was. Her hands 547 gripped the arms of her chair as she 5e49 leaned forward. Her famous warmth 552 replaced by something much more raw, 554 higher price. Kelly's voice was steady 557 but dangerous. Meghan, you don't know the 600 first thing about what I've paid for 6e02 anything. You want to talk about 6e3 honesty. Let's be honest about what's 6e05 really happening here. You came on my 6e08 show with an agenda, and it wasn't to 6e10 talk about charity work. Meghan's 60 perfectly composed mask slipped for a 6e14 fraction of a second, revealing 6e17 something fierce and defensive 6e18 underneath. I came here to have a 6e21 conversation with someone I thought 6e2 would understand what it means to be 6e24 scrutinized by the media. Clearly I was 6e26 mistaken. All 6s and 28 right? Kelly fired back, her Texas 6e31 accent becoming more pronounced as her 6i33 emotions rose. You were mistaken if you 6e35 thought you could come into my house and 637 try to diminish my experiences too. 639 make whatever point you're trying to 60-40 make. The tension in the studio was now 6e43 palpable. Kelly's producers were 645 frantically gesturing from behind the 647 cameras, trying to signal for a 60-49 commercial break, but both women were 6e52 locked in their confrontation to 6e53 notice or care. Your house, Meghan 6e56 repeated, her eyebrows rising in a way 60-9 that suggested she found Kelly's choice 7901 of words amusing. That's interesting 703 phrasing because from what I can see, 7ha this house was built on playing it safe, 7u8 on being palatable to everyone. Must be 710 exhausting maintaining that image all 7012 the time. Kelly's eyes flashed with 715 genuine anger. Now you know what 717 exhausting, Meghan. Watching someone who 720 had every privilege handed to them act 722 like they're the only person who's ever 724 faced adversity. You married into the 726 most famous family in the world. And 78 when things got tough. You had the 730 luxury of walking away. Some of us have 732 had to fight for everything we have from 734 day one. The luxury of walking away 737 Meghan's voice rose for the first time. 709 her careful composure finally cracking 7041 completely. You think it was a luxury to 744 have my child's safety threatened, to 746 is printed about me every single 748 day, to watch my husband's family stand 750 by and say nothing while I was being 752 torn apart. And you think that's unique 754 to you. Kelly standing up 757 from her chair now, her own composure 759 completely abandoned. You think you're 8001 the first person to be lied about in the 8003 press, the first person to have their 8005 family attacked. I've been in this 8007 business for over 20 years, Meghan. I've have at every aspect of my life picked 8013 apart. My weight criticized, my 8015 parenting questioned, my marriage's 8017 dissected. The difference is I never 8019 expected the world to stop spinning 8021 because of it. Meghan stood up as well. 84 both women now facing each other across 8026 the small coffee table that separated 827 them. The studio audience was dead 8030 silent. Some people holding their phones 832 up to record, others simply staring in 8035 shock at what was unfolding. Expected 838 the world to stop spinning. Meghan's 8040 voice was dangerously quiet now. Kelly 843 I never asked for special treatment. I 846 asked for basic human decency. But 8048, apparently that's too much to ask when 8050 you're dealing with people who are more 8052 concerned with protecting an institution 8C54 than protecting the people in it. Don't 8057 you dare, Kelly said, pointing a finger 8059 at Meghan. Don't you dare turn this into 92 some noble crusade. You knew exactly 905 what you were signing up for when you 907 married into that family. You knew the 909 scrutiny that came with it. but instead 9/11 of handling it with grace. You decided 9/13 to burn it all down and play the victim. 9/16 the words hung in the air like a 9/18 challenge. Meghan's face went through 9,020 several emotions at once. Surprise, and then something much colder. 9/26 Grace, Meghan repeated softly. You want 9/29 to talk about Grace Kelly? Let me tell 9/31 you about Grace. Grace is keeping your 9/33 mouth shut when people are spreading 9/35 lies about you. Grace is smiling and 9/37 waving when you're dying inside. Grace 9/39 is protecting people who wouldn't cross 9/04 once the street to protect you. I had Grace 9/44 for years, and you know what? It got me. 9/4 frothing, but more attacks and more 9/48 silence from the people who should have 9/49 stood up for me. Kelly shook her head, 9/52 her frustration evident. So, your 9/4 solution was to go on television and air 9/57 every piece of dirty laundry you could 9/58 think of to make accusations that you 10/01 knew would hurt people, including people 10/03 who couldn't defend themselves defend 10/05 themselves. Meghan laughed, but there was 10/08 no humor in it. Kelly, they have an entire machine dedicated to defending 10/12 themselves. They have press secretaries 10/50 and communications teams and friendly 10/17 journalists who will print whatever 10/9 version of the story they want told. 10/21 What did I have? What does anyone have 10/23 when they go up against that kind of 10/25 power? You had choices, Kelly said 10/28 firmly. You always had choices. You 10/30 could have taken the high road. You 10/32 could have focused on the work instead 10/34 of the drama. Could have proven them 10/36 wrong by being better than the stories 10/38 they were telling about you. Meghan's 10/40 eyes narrowed. Easy to say when you've 10/42 never been in that position. Easy to 10/44 judge when you've never had to choose 10/46 between protecting your mental health 10/48 and protecting people who were never 10/50 going to protect you back. I've been in 10/52 plenty of positions where I had to make 10/54 hard choices, Kelly retorted. The 10/56 difference is I didn't run to the 10/58 nearest camera every time someone hurt 1100 my feelings. The comment clearly struck 11:02 a nerve. Meghan took a step closer, her 11:05 voice dropping to barely above 11:07 whisper hurt my feelings. Kelly, they the 11:10 tried to destroy me. Not my career, not 11:13 my reputation, me. And when I finally 11:16 found the courage to speak up, people 11:10-18 like you want to lecture me about taking 11:20 the high road. Kelly didn't back down. We 11s and 23 speaking up and burning everything down 11:25 are two different things. Meghan, you 11:28 didn't just tell your story. You made 11s and 30s sure everyone else's story got told. Well 11:32 too, whether they wanted it or 11:35 everyone else's story. Meghan's voice was 11:37 incredulous. You mean the truth? Mean what actually happened behind 11:42 closed doors? I'm sorry if that made 11:44 people uncomfortable, but I wasn't about 11:46 to keep protecting people who never 11:47 protected me. The confrontation had 11:50 reached a fever pitch. Both women were 11:52 standing close that their voices 11:54 carried even though they were speaking 11:56 in intense, heated whispers that somehow 11:59 felt more dangerous than if they had 12:01 been shouting. Kelly's eyes blazed as 12:04 she stared at Meghan across the 12:05 increasingly small space between them. 12:08 You know what I think, Meghan? I think 12:10 you're so used to being the victim in 12:11 your own story that you can't see when 12:13 you've become the one causing the 12:15 damage. Meghan's face went white at those 12:17 words, causing damage. Kelly, I was 12:21 protecting my family. I was protecting 23 my son from growing up in a system that 12:26 would have destroyed him the same way at 12:27 tried to destroy me. By destroying other 20-30 people first, Kelly shot back. By making 23 sure that everyone else got dragged 12:35 through the mud along with you. That's 12:37 not protection, that's revenge. The 12:40 accusation hung between them like a live 12:42 wire. Meghan's hands were shaking now 12:44 her carefully maintained composure 12:46 completely shattered. Revenge? You think speaking the truth is revenge? I 12:51 think selective truth-telling is 12:52 revenge. Kelly replied, her voice a 12:55 cutting through the tension like a 12:56 blade. I think choosing which parts of 12:58 the story to tell and which parts to 1300 leave out, that's manipulation. And 1303 you're too smart not to know the 1304 difference. Stepped back as if 1307 she'd been physically struck. Selective 1310 truth, Kelly. Every word I said was 1313 true. Every single thing that happened 1315 to me was real. I'm not questioning 1317 whether it happened to you, Kelly said. 1320 her voice softer now, but no less. 1321 intense sessioning whether you 1324 told the whole story or just parts. 1326 that made you look sympathetic. 1328 sympathetic. Meghan's voice cracked. 1330 slightly. You think I went through all 1332 of that for sympathy? You think I put my 1335 family through that scrutiny? That I 1337 risked everything just so people would 1339 feel sorry for me? Kelly shook her head. 1304 I think you went through it cause you 1344 were angry and you wanted someone to pay 13d46 for that anger and maybe some of that 1348 anger was justified, but that doesn't 1350 mean the way you handled it was right. 13s and 53 was studio quiet that the hum of 1355 the cameras seemed deafening. Even the 1358 crew members who had frantically 1359 trying to signal for a commercial break 1401 had stopped moving, transfixed by the 1404 playing out in front of 1405 them. You have no idea what you're 1407 talking about. Meghan said, her voice 1410 barely audible now. You have no idea 1412 what it's like to be completely alone 1414 to have no one in your corner. To watch 14 fixed eat people you trusted throw you to the 14 and 18 wolves. You weren't alone. Kelly said 14-1 quietly. You had Harry, you had each 14-23 other. That's more than a lot of people 14-25 have when they're fighting their 14-26 battles. Had Harry. Bitterly Kelly, I watched that 14-32 institution try to break the man I love. 14s and 34 I watched them put him in impossible 14-36 positions, force him to choose between 14-38 his family and his wife. Do you have any 14 and 41 idea what that does to a person? What if 14-433 does to a marriage? Kelly's expression 44-6 softened slightly, but her resolve 14-48 didn't waver. I can't imagine how hard 14-50 that was, but making it everyone else's 14 and 52 problem. 14-55 that didn't help Harry. That just made 14-57 everything worse for everyone involved. 1500 made it worse. Meghan's voice rose again. 1503 Kelly. 1506 literally killing me. I was having 1508 thoughts about ending my own life 15-10 because I couldn't see any other way 15-12 out. So, forgive me if I chose survival 15-15 over protecting people who were never 15-17 going to protect me. The admission hit 15-9 Kelly like a physical blow. For the first time since the confrontation 15-23 began she looked genuinely shaken. 15-26 Meghan, I had no idea it was that 15-28 serious. Of course you didn't. Meghan 15 finally starting to form 15-33 in her eyes. Because people like you 15-36 don't want to hear about that part. You 15-38 want to focus on the drama, on the 15-40 palace intrigue, on who said what a 15-42 whom, but you don't want to acknowledge 15-44 that there was a real person going 15-45 through real pain. Kelly felt the fight 15-48 go out of her suddenly. She had come 15-50 into this expecting to challenge Meghan 15-52 on her choices, but she hadn't expected 54 this level of raw vulnerability. I'm 15-57 sorry. I didn't know you were in that 15-58 much pain 15-59 no you're not sorry Meghan said, wiping 16-2 her eyes but keeping her voice steady. 1605 you're uncomfortable. There's a 1606 difference. You're uncomfortable because 1608 and I'm not playing the game the way you 1610 think I should play it. Kelly frowned. 16z12 what game? The game where we all pretend 1614 that everything is fine. Where we smile 1617 and wave and never talk about the real 16z20 cost of fame. The game where we protect 16-2 institutions and systems that don't 1624 protect us back. You've been playing 1626 that game so long Kelly, that you've 1628 forgot it's even a game. That's not 1631 fair Kelly protested. I've been honest 1634 about my struggles. I've talked about my 1636 divorce, my weight issues, my challenges 1639 other safe struggles me 16z42 countered struggles that make you 1644 relatable without making anyone 1646 uncomfortable. Struggles that don't 1648 threaten any powerful people or 1650 institutions. When's the last time you used your 1653 platform to call out something that 1655 actually mattered? Something that might 1657 cost you something. Kelly felt anger 17 under flare up again. I use my platform to 17-3 entertain people, to make them feel good 17-5 about themselves. Not everyone needs to 17-8 be a revolutionary Meghan. Not everyone 17 a people pleaser. Meghan shot 17-13 back. Some of us choose to use our 17-15 voices for something more than just 17-17 making people comfortable. Kelly asked, her voice 17-21 dripping with sarcasm. Using her voice 1724 because from where I sit it looks more 17-26 like burning down. Everything around 1720 you and calling it activism. Meghan 1731 stared at Kelly for a long moment 1733 something shifting in her expression. 17:35 when she spoke again. Her voice was 1737 calm but final. What Kelly? I 1740 came here thinking we might understand 1741 each other. I thought maybe you'd be 1743 different from all the other hosts who 1745 want to ask the same safe questions and 1747 so get the same safe answers, but you're 1750 not different. You're just better at setting your judgment behind a smile. 1754 Kelly felt stung by the accusation. I'm 1757 not judging you Meghan. I'm trying to 1759 understand how someone can cause so much 1801 pain to so many people and still see 1803 themselves as the victim. And I'm trying 1805 to understand how someone can sit in a 1807 position of privilege and influence and 1810 use it to tear down someone who's 18dd12 already been torn down enough. 1814 Meghan's voice was steady now, but there 1816 was something final in her tone. I think 18t line 9 we're done here. She started to remove 18z21 her microphone, but Kelly stepped 1823 forward. Meghan wait, this doesn't have 1826 to endless. Meghan paused, looking 18 and 28 at Kelly with something that might have 1830 been pity. Yes, it does Kelly, because 1832 this is exactly what I was talking 1834 about. You can't handle the truth when 18 died 36 it's not wrapped up in a pretty bow. You 18d39 want the sanitized d40 that doesn't make you question anything 18,042 about the world you're comfortable in. 1844 that's not true Kelly said. But even as 1847 she said it internebited 1849 was isn't it? Meghan asked fully 1852 removing her microphone. Now, tell me 1854 Kelly, what are you going to do with 1856 this conversation? Are you going to air 1858 it as it happened? Or are you going to 1900 it down to something more palatable 1902 for your audience? Kelly opened her 1904 mouth to respond, but found she didn't 1907 have an answer. The question hung in the 1909 air as Meghan straightened her jacket 1911 looked around the studio one last time. 1904 foo, that's what I thought. Meghan said 1960 quietly, thank you for proving my 1918 point. Without another word she walked 1920 off the set, leaving Kelly standing 1922 alone in front of a studio full of 1925 shocked faces, holding a microphone that 1927 suddenly felt very heavy in her hand. 1930 the cameras kept rolling for several 1931 more seconds before someone finally 1934 thought to call cut, but by then the 936 damage was done. The conversation that 1938 was supposed to be about charity work 1940 and positive change had turned into 1942 something much more complicated. 1944 something that neither woman had 1945 expected but both had perhaps needed to 1948 say. So what do you think really 1950 happened behind the scenes? Was Meghan 1940 out what she saw as 1954 Kelly's comfortable complacency? Or did 1957 she cross a line by attacking someone 1958 who was just trying to do their job? 2001 drop your thoughts in the comments below 2003 and make sure to subscribe for more 2005 stories that pull back the curtain on 2007. What really happens when the cameras are 2009 rolling?